For the last 2 weeks, there's been an election underway in Illinois that you probably haven't even heard about. It started with a decision by Governor Quinn, a decision which has some families accusing the governor of playing politics with care for the disabled. Our Larry Yellen has a Fox Chicago News investigation.
You want a surprise? Well, tell me.
When Pam Harris's developmentally disabled son Josh wants to communicate a message, he uses a special device.
Care.
But Harris says it's Governor Pat Quinn who needs help communicating his message to parents like her.
I can't imagine that he even thought of this as being people and families.
Harris is one of about 3,000 personal support workers in Illinois. They receive state funding to care for developmentally disabled individuals in their homes. In her case, it's her son Josh. In June, Governor Quinn signed this executive order, which for the first time authorized collective bargaining by these workers. Now, she and other parents working as caregivers could be forced to join a union. Harris had heard nothing about Quinn's decision.
I don't rock the boat. I just do my very best to make sure my son has a busy and meaningful life.
But now, she and others were the target of a heated organizing campaign.
When my doorbell rings at 11:30 on a Sunday morning, and there's two people with purple shirts standing out there, one from California and the other from Virginia, that's an invasion of my privacy.
The more she learned, the more she feared that in addition to paying dues of $600 a year or more, she would have outsiders telling her how to care for Josh.
Union contracts talk about suspensions, probation, training, days off. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous to draw a line from union contracts to a mom just trying to give her disabled son a meaningful life.
So she started her own campaign against the organizing effort, and she contacted her state representative, who wants Governor Quinn to reconsider that executive order.
I'm afraid that this order is going to disrupt that unity that the parents have and the family members have with that family member who's profoundly disabled.
Two unions, the SEIU and AFSCME, are competing to represent the workers, and both unions claim the caregivers will benefit greatly from union representation, especially with better wages and benefits.
This executive order specifically does not get in the way of what goes on in their home. This is really about bringing them together so they have a powerful voice in Springfield where the decisions get made.
But some AFSCME officials admit that the governor's order is being implemented too quickly.
We, AFSCME, had argued both with the state and with the Service Employees Union that there should be a period of 6 months where people could be educated about this executive order, what it meant, the great opportunity that it provides for caregivers throughout the state.
Governor Quinn's office told us, quote, these workers are generally not making high wages and many are not covered by health insurance. However, workers should not be pressured into any decision, and whether they decide to organize is totally up to them. But Pam Harris noticed the governor's recent endorsement by the SEIU and wonders if this is about politics, not just wages and health insurance.
There was our governor standing aside the SEIU leadership in front of the SEIU banner saying, early to bed, early to rise, work like hell and organize. Yikes.
The SEIU says it endorsed the governor because he cares about working families and is a leader in ethics reform. Meanwhile, the voting ends next Monday, and Pam Harris continues her campaign.
This is so far from anything that I've ever done before. But I'm worried. I'm a mother, and I need to protect my son. I need to protect my family, and I'm concerned.
If one of the unions is selected, individual caregivers could still choose not to join, but they would still have to pay what are called fair share dues. The voting began on October 1st, and as we said in the story, it continues until next Monday, the 19th. Robin and Nancy?
So yes, his mother is on this campaign, and her fellow home workers, who are, some may be mothers, some may be not, can choose whether or not to join a union, and they may vote it down, correct?
Right, and she actually started a campaign on her own. She sent letters to all of the caregivers, or many of them, throughout Illinois, and she said she had a lot of support. I've talked to some of those other caregivers, and they tend to support Pam, and essentially, they said, keep sending these letters, keep supporting our position. Some of them even sent money to her, saying this will cover the postage of your mailings.
You were telling us earlier that Governor Blagojevich had done something along these lines.
means.
Right. A couple weeks after he was elected, he actually granted collective bargaining authority to 70,000 workers, personal care and home care attendants. They then voted to join the SEIU, and the SEIU received millions in dues. And according to the critics, some of those millions then went back to Governor Blagojevich as campaign contributions. That's the way the Blagojevich critics say that it works. We'll see what happens with Pat Quinn.
Okay. Thank you, Larry. Very interesting.